Every couple months, I think I find the worst video game ever made, but this time, I mean, come on. I found one that's not just a bad video game, but is installed into the entire medium of video games. Say it with me, folks. It's Goodbye Volcano High. I have never seen a piece of media before so opposed to its own medium. Video games are an interactive medium, and this is supposed to be a choice-driven game where you interact with a bunch of other characters and talk to them and learn about them and stuff, but it ends the exact same way every time. Unless you consider the outfit the protagonist is wearing at the end to be a big enough difference.
That's it?
It's honestly kind of depressing because this game was shown off at the Future of Gaming event with the PS5, and the trailer actually has better looking moments than in the actual game, with like good animation. So clearly at some point it was going to be a better game than it actually ended up being. Although there was no salvage in these character designs. I mean, look at them. Nobody in this game moves the way an organism should. They all move like rejected FNAF animatronics instead of people.
Wait, blink twice if you're a mimic.
They don't even look like dinosaurs or pterosaurs, and the protagonist, who's supposed to be a pterodactyl, looks more like a dolphin. And whenever somebody looks forward in this game, it almost is like a jump scare as well. It's genuinely scary. They pierce into your very soul. And what's funny is that the lip sync in this game is tied with that of Kung Fu Dino Posse as some of the worst I've ever seen. But at least for Kung Fu Dino Posse, that show was made for a different language, so it has a fucking excuse. This doesn't. The best the Goodbye Volcano High characters ever look outside of the trailer is in these pictures in the back during the final sequence where you play music, so you're not even looking at them. But the characters are actually drawn in the background, so they don't look like shit. Yeah, the only actual gameplay in this game are musical sequences that come in every now and then. The fact that you have to be paying attention to the entire screen makes the images in the background really distracting, and the controls don't flow well with each other at all. But you know what? I'll give the game this. The music's not bad. Yeah, I don't hate everything about this game. Give it a listen. And speaking of things on a positive note, there are actually 2 good scenes in the entire game, both of which are different characters talking to Fang about the struggles of being trans. And they're handled really well, which is weird, but I'm glad that they did that, because these 2 scenes are actually relevant and meaningful, and they feel like they're written by a human being instead of everything else in the game. Like, take this line.
There are some parts of the family that don't want me with them as I am right now. And I think I'd rather be with people who do.
And the sad part is, both of these scenes you might just miss, because they only happen if you do certain things in the game. And based on the comment section for the Rosa scene, a lot of people did miss these. Other than the music sequences, though, most of the game is just basically a cutscene where you sometimes get to choose what Fang the protagonist says. And the game can't even do that right, because sometimes your cursor just gets stuck in the middle when you have to make a choice. And sometimes when you have to press X to end a sequence where you're looking at your phone, it doesn't work. And that's especially bad because one of the times where this happens is at the end of a 5-minute long unskippable cutscene. And in order to make the game work again, exiting didn't just work. Closing the game didn't just work. I had to actually turn my PS5 off. How do you mess up the gameplay in a section that doesn't fucking have any? If you have enough positive interactions with another character, then you can actually unlock these flashback sequences, which are just really awkward comics of some event that happened involving the characters before the game happens. There's also this social media feed that you can look at that has absolutely no purpose, and you can unlock pictures by doing stuff in the game, which are tied to trophies, and I'm pretty sure it's broken because I did some of the things you have to do for some of the pictures, and I didn't get the pictures, so I'm locked out of getting the Platinum Trophy, which angers me because I like getting them. Also, this game's just really awkward. There's usually long pauses between lines, and rarely any of the things that are ever said feel real.
Oh shit! Oh shit! It's happening!
And the funny thing is, the game couldn't be any less subtle about your choices not making a difference, because sometimes you're only given one choice to pick from, and sometimes you're not even allowed to pick the other choices that it gives you. So, like, why is this a game? Why isn't this just a TV show or a movie? The story and characters are also just an absolute disaster. Half of these characters have nothing to do and serve no purpose throughout the game. Fang is an inconsiderate asshole throughout the game, and I don't get why Trish is friends with them. In fact, the main conflict of the story is Trish wanting to leave the band and pursue her own interests and hang out with her own friends, but the game ends with the entire band together anyway, so that meant absolutely fucking nothing, I guess. In fact, the game ends with the entire group of characters together just giving Fang their worldly possessions like a cult, one of them being a tarot card that Fang has to pull, but it turns out that it's rigged because Stella wrote on it herself to make the outcome the same thing every time, and I guess that's a metaphor for the game by accident, which I think is really funny. Before the final show, before the asteroid hits Earth and kills the dinosaurs. And as if this couldn't feel any more like a self-insert fanfiction, the entire town shows up to that concert, including the stern teacher who wasn't interested in this sort of thing. Yeah, the world's about to end due to an asteroid collision, but hey, instead of spending time with family or friends or anybody meaningful to you, let's just go to a fucking concert.
No. Go. It'll be funny.
We don't even get the satisfaction of seeing these monstrosities get obliterated by a fucking meteor, but whatever. Not to mention that some of the species of dinosaur and other things in this game weren't even around when the impact happened, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm not going to complain about the scientific inaccuracies of a game about dinosaurs going to high school. God, this is disorganized rant. Okay, back to the characters and plot. The third bandmate, Reed, exists just to host a knockoff Dungeons & Dragons game called L&L that takes up a significant amount of time in the game. It's unskippable and has no relevance to anything, so it's literally just filler. Although it does have better art direction than the main game, and I guess it gives you some opportunities to increase your relationships with some of the other characters, but that doesn't matter anyway, so yeah, no, this is just filler. Fang has a brother. Anyway, Rose's role basically amounts to being a plot device to get Trish to want to spend more time away from the band and more time with her, which is fine, as a friend of a friend type of character. That makes sense. And then Sage and Stella have absolutely nothing to do whatsoever. The Meteor plotline is very weird to me. It's introduced pretty early on into the game as a thing that is across the solar system and screws with electronics for some reason, and has a very low chance of impacting Earth. And it's occasionally mentioned around the middle of the game, just sometimes in passing conversation with some characters being worried about it and stuff. But then by the final hour of the game, it feels like the writers suddenly remembered, oh yeah, this is a dinosaur game, we need to have the asteroid collision, and then suddenly the rest of the game is about that. And the asteroid's electromagnetic properties somehow don't affect the band equipment at the end of the game, despite the fact that it was able to mess with cell phones when it was across the entire solar system at the very beginning, but okay. I mention this now because the timing of the meteor is important to the love story involving Naomi. And that love story, wow. So, after the meteor is first discovered, Naomi begins to send Fang text messages saying that she loves them. And it's really weird because Fang just, like an idiot, replies to these instead of believing that they're a scam. And they even ask this unknown person to help them write songs. And they still don't put it together even after being in a group with Naomi's phone number in it. So after a band competition, Naomi shows up and is like, wow, it was me. But since Fang just argued with Trish, they can't handle it at the moment and say that they have to wait. After knowing that the meteor will collide with Earth, Naomi has a breakdown. And when reconciling with her, you can choose to date her or not. But since going on a date might result in you wearing this outfit at the end of the game, I recommend just not doing that. Plus, you dodge a bullet anyway because she looks like a handheld vacuum cleaner.